Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity to either make money in the market or to just learn from the market. But first, y'all, let me go ahead and give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. With that being said, let's get started, y'all. So we are looking at the VIX. You know, I like to look at the VIX because it kind of gives me an idea of what's going on with the SPY. And as of now, pre-market, our support area for the VIX is around this 1356 area. Resistance here around maybe 1362. We did make a high of 1374 only to come back down. So where are the trouble places? Back to the upside, we'll need to get back above 1362, possibly have trouble at 1372, and again at 1377. Breaking that 1377 gives us, we could possibly have trouble around the 1389 area for the VIX. Now, back to the downside, losing this support here at 1358. Let's see, 1358. We could very well come back and find support in this zone because that's where we were, right? I always try to go to the left and find that gathering spot. So 1347 is the support area, and it's 1345, which is really, really close. Now, breaking the 1345 can bring us back to this 1337, which is not far from the ATR trail, and stop at 1336. So that is the VIX. Now let's go look at the SPY today. Y'all, the SPY made a high of 608.48 on yesterday, which is interesting, right? So we broke out, came back from that high only to come back to this zone here. And I'm going to try to make that bigger because that 605 area has been holding up for us as a support area. I do that often, right? That 605 area has been holding up as a support area. So we definitely need to watch that 605.92. Prices come back to test this area a few times. So are we going to break to the upside, or are we going to the downside? Keep in mind, there is a little resistance to the upside, those trouble places, and it's just an area that has stopped us out before, right? Support and resistance. So where are the trouble places to the upside for the SPY today? I would definitely watch the 606.80 and the 607. If we should break that 607 area, just know 607.11 is that ATR trailing stop. Breaking that level, we could possibly have trouble at 607.27, 607.52, and again at 607.89. Now, if we break that 607.89, we could very well go back to that high of 608.40. Let me make sure. Yes, 608.40, breaking the 608.40, 608.48, or 608.50, right? So back to the downside, you can see we got rejected on this candle here. That's where that wick is coming from now. Let's see if we can bring that back to the downside, where that is what I wanted to point out, how we came up, test that, got rejected, only to come back to the support area here, right? So back to the downside for the SPY. If by chance we break under this level of 606.20, we could very well find support at 605.92. If we should break that, 605.54, breaking the 605.54, I have 605.42. Under that, 605.10, which is the 200 EMA, looking at it on this 30-minute chart, breaking that 605.10, which that 605 is a strong area in my opinion. 604.94 area is a strong area for the SPY. Breaking under that, we can very well come back to 604.65. So those are trouble places for the SPY to the upside and to the downside. And when I say trouble places, I mean support and resistance, or places that we could definitely get stopped out at. So if you trade the SPY today, y'all trade carefully. We are looking at Tesla. Tesla. As you can see, y'all, we closed at 369.49, only to make a pre-market high today of 378.69. Tesla does what it does, right? So it broke out of a gathering spot only to come back up to this high and get rejected. So we know that we could very well come back to this 378.69. So trouble places to the downside, back under 374.36. We could very well find support at 373.20. And if we should break that, that is a zone area. So I would definitely watch this area here at 371, breaking at 371, 369.41. Under the 369.41, we could very well come back to 362.78 or 362.79. Breaking that level, we could very well come back to 360.64. And if we break the 360.64, there's a lot of support here for Tesla down to this 359, let's see, 359.02, which is the 200 EMA. So if you're trading Tesla today, I say trade carefully, y'all. Tesla, again, it does what it does. So once it goes against your why, your reason for getting in the trade, just remember to have the discipline to get out of the trade, right? So we're looking at AMD today. AMD closed at 141.36. As you can see, we're trading in this gathering zone, or this gathering spot here. Pre-market resistance is around this 141.80, which we had marked, right? 141.80. If we break that level, we could very well come back to 142.23. 142.36 is the ATR trailing stop, and if we should break that, we could possibly have trouble around 142.77, and it's just where the body of these candles are here. So I would definitely watch that area. 142.77, breaking that level, we could very well have trouble around 148.08, no, 148.03, and breaking that 148.42. If we should break that, 148.69, and again at 144. So those are trouble places or resistance areas for AMD to the upside. Now to the downside, as you can see, y'all, we came down, bounced off of the support area that we had marked here, only to go back to the upside. That means we had some buyers that was right here willing to take that price or buy it at that price and take that price back up to this area here. So back to the downside for AMD. If by chance we break this 141.03, we could very well find support here in this gathering spot, which is around the 140, let's see, the 140.67, breaking the 140.67, 140.52, and if we break the 140.52 for AMD, we could very well find support here at 139.97, breaking that 139.54. If we break the 139.54, 139.11, those are going to be your trouble places for AMD to the upside and to the downside. So I say often, y'all, trade carefully today. Once it goes against your why, get out. So we are now looking at NVIDIA, and NVIDIA closed at 145.06. It too is trading in a zone for us, right? We are under a previous support area, which was that 144.65 area, which is interesting, right? So where are the trouble places back to the upside? We will need to get, and the 5 and 50 is crossing. So that's interesting, right, to watch it on this 30-minute chart. So above the 144.65, we could very well have trouble at 144. Let's see, 144.80. 144.82 area, I would watch that, breaking that level 145.02. If we break the 145.02, 145.40, and if we should break that 145.80, breaking the 145.80, 146.27, those are going to be trouble places for NVIDIA to the upside, 146.27. If we should break that, 146.49. So I would watch those as resistance areas for NVIDIA. Now to the downside, if by chance we break under 144.20, we could very well find support here at 143.32. Under that 142.90, breaking the 142.90, 142.99, which is that 200 EMA, which is not far from this 142.42 that we had marked. So I will watch those areas. Now, as you can see, NVIDIA has a lot of support in this area. So if we break this 200 EMA, the 142.55, I would say breaking under the 141.39 or 141.42, we have broken through several layers of support for NVIDIA. So I would definitely watch that. So if you trade NVIDIA today, those are some of the places to the upside and to the downside. And I say too often, y'all, in the market, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed, right? So let's look at Apple today. Again, Apple is trading in this zone. As you can see, our support is still here, possibly, 240.40, resistance around the 242.96, and it too is just trading in this area here, right? So back to the upside, it will need to break the 242.96, only to possibly have rejection around the 243.12. If we should break that level, it seems like 243.26 or 24 area, which is not far from the 242.32, which is the ATR trailing stop. Now breaking that, we could very well have trouble again in this area at the 243.69, which is the high of this candle here, and we came down, right? So that is going to be a trouble place for us for Apple, which is around the 243.69. Breaking that level, we can come back to the 244.10. Now to the downside, if by chance we break under 242.40, we could very well find support again on this candle here at 242.10. Breaking that level, we can come back to 240. 126, which is our 200 EMA, and if we should break that, we can come back to this zone around 240.21 down to the 239.77. So if you trade Apple today, I would say trade carefully. We do have a few inside day candles, and I'll just give the trigger for those. And normally, if the price break above the 160.68 for CVX, which is first for the inside day candle, CVX breaking above the 160.68 gives us a target of 161.90. If by chance we break under 158.67, we have a downside target of 157.88. So CVX is an inside day candle. DBX is also an inside day candle. If by chance we break above 28.89, we have an upside target of 29.15. To the downside, under 28.57 gives us a downside target of 28.49. And let's see how much DBX normally moves per day. Just 64 cents. However, it has been moving up. Here looks like we it very well find some support on this 5 EMA, looking at it on the daily chart. So if you trade DBX, it is an inside day candle. I say too often, y'all trade carefully. And Disney is also an inside day candle, and it looks yes, Disney, if by chance we break above 117.32, 117.35 is the target. To the downside, looks like we're already trying to break that downside, 116.06, and if we break that level, 115.84 is our target for Disney for today. Disney, it seems like it's trading in a gathering spot. We are under that 5 EMA on the daily chart. Disney normally moves $2.31 per day. So if you trade Disney, I would say trade carefully. I would definitely watch that 116.63, which is the 5 EMA. Again, looking at it on this daily chart. So Disney is an inside day candle. MRVL is also an inside day candle. Let's see the trigger to the upside. If by chance we break above 116.71, we have a target of 119.88. Now to the downside, under 112.05, we have a downside target of 109.47. MRVL normally moves about $5.02 per day, right? So what's interesting about MRVL is there's a gap to the downside that will need to be filled. So I would definitely watch it under this 108.80 area. You know, if we should break that, we could very well come back to the 100 range. So if you trade MRVL, again, it's an inside day candle for today. It normally moves $5.02 per day. And again, y'all, that could be in either direction. I needed to say that, in either direction. So if you trade MRVL today, trade carefully. SHOP is also an inside day candle, and we have already reached that target. I like to see those right pre-market. So the trigger was at 115.55. Target to the upside was 115.91. We've already made a pre-market high of 116.99, right? That does not mean we cannot continue climbing, or we can come back to the downside. So to the downside, if by chance we break under 112.92, we have a downside target of 112.19. Let's see how much SHOP normally moves on average per day, $3.52, and it too is trading in a gathering spot. I would definitely watch it at this 113.09. That is the 5 EMA on this one on the daily chart. So if we should break that level for SHOP, we could very well continue back to making its way back to this area here at the 105.86, which is the next moving average that I like to use. Let me say that a lot of people don't. I like to use them. So again, SHOP is an inside day candle. So yeah, y'all, today should be an interesting day in the market. Let's see where the SPY is still where it is, right? Having trouble at this 50 EMA. We would definitely need to get back above 608.69. So I'm going to set my alert at that level. Y'all, I set alerts because they're helpful. I don't watch them all, but when my alert goes off, it lets me know I need to pay attention to that particular ticker, or what I'm looking at. So yeah, again, y'all, I hope these videos are very, very helpful. I hope that everyone have a very profitable, a very productive day today. If you could, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, because we learn and we grow together. So until next time, y'all, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.